Hi, so this is my story time about my head. I've actually recorded this so many times already, but like I just keep realizing that I keep waffling and like it's not interesting. And also I know people hate like part ones, part twos, like whatever, like so I'm gonna try and make it as concise as possible because I know it's really boring. Before I start, I'm just gonna address like the most common comment I got, which was like, oh, if you weren't fit to fly, like you shouldn't have flown. And like, well, yeah, obviously. Except I was certified as fit to fly by two different doctors. Like, nothing was wrong before I got on the plane. And also like loads of people were like, oh, are you gonna sue them? Like, sue who? Like, no one did anything wrong. Like, both my surgeon and the doctor at the airport, they just checked me over and everything looked fine. So they were like, yeah, obviously you're fit to fly. Things happen. Anyway, so basically the day before I was flying, when I went to get my fit to fly certificate and get like a final checkup, put on my little monkey chin strap thing that I had going on yesterday. I can finally stop wearing that. I was really late because in the morning I had to go see my surgeon who did my BBL like a couple of months ago, and it took longer than I expected. Basically, I didn't realize he'd want to do like a whole like video and photo of my body and things, but he wanted to put them on his Instagram as like an example of like good aftercare, because my swelling had gone down really nicely for someone who swells like to such a crazy extent. So yeah, I was really late, and when I say I was really late, I was like 2 or 3 hours late for my consultation with my surgeon who did my cat eyes. When I got there, he was really kind to wait for me, but he was really rushed because he had another operation later that day. So he basically forgot to give me up like the printed out like physical copy of my fit to fly certificate and my staple remover, because I have like staples in my head, which isn't actually a big deal because my mum is a dentist and she has access to the same sort of equipment, so I've just got her to give me one. But yeah, either way, I left the consultation with no fit to fly certificate, which he then sent me, but I had no signal at that point. So when I got to the airport at like 5 a.m, I had no access to my fit to fly certificate, and the airport staff asked for his number and they were calling him, but obviously it was 5 a.m. Hold on, okay, so part 2. We got to the airport. I realised then at 5 a.m. that I don't have a fit to fly, that I was meant to leave the appointment. It was even mentioned in the appointment, like he was like, oh, we'll give you a fit to fly at the end of the appointment. Obviously, like, I'm not putting blame on my surgeon, like we both forgot. I was really late to my plane, he was late to his operation. He's a wonderful guy anyway, like this is literally not his fault in any way. But I didn't have a physical copy of my fit to fly with me, which he sent to me after I'd left, like an hour after I left my appointment, when he realised that I left without it, by WhatsApp. But I didn't have 3G while I was travelling. So I got to the airport and, the airport staff was like ringing my surgeon, bringing the hospital. They were like, we need the certificate, but no one was answering because it's fucking 5 a.m. So they were like, well, there's nothing else we can do. Like, you're gonna have to get checked over again by our hospital staff. And obviously that's gonna cost you. And I was like, well, that's annoying because I know I'm fine to fly, but fine anyway. Went to the hospital staff, they checked all of my vitals. I did think it was a little bit rushed, but like, whatever, like it's hospital staff, it's airport staff. Like I remember being like, do you want to have a look at the incision? And they were like, it's okay. Like they just basically took my vitals. And they gave me this like pink slip, then I had to return back to the queue and basically get on my flight. So that's why I had no fit to fly certificate. In all reality, if you'd read my TikTok, I had 2 Fit to Fly certificates. I had the one that my surgeon sent me, which I received once I landed in the UK, once I switched over my SIM card and had 3G, which he'd WhatsApped me, like I said. And I had the little pink slip that I was given at the airport saying, like, you know, she's good to fly. So there was literally nothing that... I wasn't even that swollen as well. I just swelled so badly after surgery and after the airport, after the flight. If you want to see how badly I swell, because it's so atypical, you can head over to like my Instagram. I normally post all about like my surgeries and anything I have done. And you'll see that a day post-op, I was so swollen that I couldn't even open this eye. Like, it was just like, I looked like a fucking alien. It was so bad. I'll put my username like in the description box. Again, I'm running out of time, so I'll do a part 3, but I'll do it now. Part 3, and hopefully, no, definitely the final part with all the juicy details. No pun intended. Yeah, so before I tell you what happened in the plane, I just want to address one comment that's just a little bit silly, but I've seen like maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. It's not a particularly common one, but like one about my waist trainer. It's not actually a waist trainer, it's called a faja. It's a compression garment for post-surgery to reduce swelling. And like the leg compression and things, like I was wearing flight socks, I was wearing my full faja, I was wearing like full body compression to avoid like DVTs and other things. But I wear this because I had a BBL a couple of months back and I retained swelling longer than most people, so I'm still in my faja. But it's not actually particularly tight, as some people wanted to say. It's a waist 26 that I got 2 weeks post-op, and I'm down to like my normal size, which is the waist 24. And as you can see, it's not particularly tight. Like, I can literally put 2 hands in there. Like, it should be tight enough that I can't pull it off. But obviously your swelling reduces after surgery, and I'm now like months after my surgery. But I am still swollen because unfortunately I have shit genetics. So yeah, we were on the plane. I had my Fit to Fly certificate. I know some of you were worried that I was flying against doctor's instructions. But obviously you're not allowed to fly without a Fit to Fly, so that's why we were stopped at the airport and had to get one from the hospital. But yeah, we're on the plane, everything's chill, we've gone to sleep because we've been traveling since 2 a.m. and I wake up and I'm in a lot of pain. Like, I can feel like pain all around here. Like, my actual ear was in pain as well, and I was like, how is that possible? Like, I can't even feel my ears yet. But my actual ear hurt, and sorry, my throat is actually fucking killing me. It's awful. Yeah, everything was like really hurting. I got up, went to the toilet, and like I heard this like audible pop, like a and I was literally like, my heart was just like, what the hell is happening? The incision that popped is right here behind my ear, so it was actually quite loud. Like, it was like a like, sorry. And I was just like, oh shit, like I wonder what that... Sorry, I'm gonna actually have to do a part 4. It's actually about to run out of time again. 2 seconds. I will record it straight away though. This will be the last part now, I promise. Not that much happens from here. Yeah, I go to the toilet, and when I sit down I hear this like loud like kind of sound. And like immediately after, I start feeling this like hot liquid dripping down my neck. And like I grabbed some like towel and like I started like wiping it up, and obviously it was blood, but like I don't know if anyone said like lipo. The fluid that comes out of you is like yellowy with like blood and like bits and shit. So I'm like sat there with this like towel, and it's like, it is blood, but it's got like this like lovely little yellow ring where it's like spreading with like that, like, I don't know. I don't even know what that stuff is, but it's literally so gross and it smells so bad. And I'm assuming the reason that it happened is because I had a drain here behind my ear where it opened up. while I was like straight post-op. They took it out day 2. So this is obviously where most fluid would accumulate after surgery. So obviously all of that must have not drained out, and when I got on the plane it like swelled up to the extent that like the skin was pulling apart and like the nylon stitches just couldn't hold it anymore. And like when it popped, like all the fluid just like gushed out all in one go. So I was just sat there like and I didn't know what to say because like it was so gross. I like went back in and I was like, babe, my head's like, something's like popped. And he was like, is it still bleeding? And it had like stopped. Like I'd like tucked some tissues in there and I was like, I think it's fine. And he was like, okay, well, let's not take the compression off now, because obviously the reason I had that like monkey head wrap on is to control the swelling. And he was like, if you take that off, like you'll just like inflate like a bullfrog. Obviously you can tell, like that's why I've got a filter on. I'm still so swollen, especially here. I've got this like weird lump. But yeah, he was like, don't take that off now. Like when we get to the airport, we'll have a look at it and like we'll assess how bad the situation is. So I just like soft tissue in this like, in that black head wrap thing I had. And like I was in so much pain for the rest of the flight, and like it felt so hot, like all that liquid was like draining into this tissue. It was honestly disgusting, but like honestly probably better out than in, I think. I'll do another part. Fourth and final part. So yeah, we got off the plane and I was like, please check like how bad it is. Like I don't want to like have a huge gaping hole in my head. And like bearing in mind at this point I was imagining, because I have a stitch from like the top of my ear to like basically the middle of the back of my head. At this point, like I was just like imagining the worst. Like I was imagining it would all come open and like my neck was like hanging off. And he checked and he was like, look, there's a lot of like dry blood. Like I can't actually tell how bad it is, but like, yeah, when we get home, like we'll wash it all off and then we can make a proper decision. Then we can like send photos to the surgeon and things. We got home. I was like, do you think I'm fine to like shower if it's open? And we just came to the conclusion that like I'm gonna have to wash the blood off anyway, so I may as well shower. And there was like blood in my hair, so I washed my hair. And I sent a photo to my surgeon, and like at this point I was like panicking a little bit because there was genuinely like a hole where the drain had been. Like it had like come quite apart, and I was like, I didn't know if it was going to shut on its own or if like I needed to go get like medical help for someone to like stitch it back together, or like at least like some like skin glue. But he was like, just leave it for now, like you're on antibiotics, continue your antibiotics, and put your antibiotic cream on it. And I said to him, I was like, my mum can prescribe me more antibiotics if I need them. Like, should I get more antibiotics? So we decided like for now, no more antibiotics, just finish the course that I'm on, that I literally finished today. But yeah, then I woke up the next morning and the hole had been infected. It was like oozing this like yellow viscous liquid and it literally stank. It was so gross. We like took photos of that, sent it to the surgeon again. I was like, please tell me what to do. Like, this is so gross. And like the worst part is I can't see it. So like, I just have to go off my idiot boyfriend's opinion on like what it looks like. And like photos, which don't really like, sometimes injuries look like less bad in photos than they do in real life. So I wish I could see it. And we cleaned it, all the like pus off, and like he like pressed the iodine into my head to like get it all inside the hole, because obviously it's like a big hole. I say big, it's like this big. And it popped again and like stuff came out. It was so gross.